Good evening, Mayor Drayman and members of the City Council and staff. Before I talk about my part of the presentation, I just wanted to respond to Mr. Starbird and Mr. Searcy's comments. First of all, Mr. Searcy is an independent contractor who works for T-Mobile. He is not a T-Mobile employee per se. Secondly, he says that 18 months of working with the community and the city. And I beg to differ with that in that, first of all, we never even heard about this until Mr. Polychronis came to the City Council back in January of 2008. And it was at that time that this whole issue started. At that time, he was told that the issue would be studied and that a response would be given back to them. No response was ever made up until we got the notice in November, the pizza hanger, and then we came to council and talked about it, and you guys worked on it. If we hadn't come here in November, would this issue really have been brought to light? I really doubt that. And so yes, this is an issue about T-Mobile, but it's not so much that it's T-Mobile, but the fact that if we allow T-Mobile to do this now, we're basically saying that it's okay for anybody else to do it under the Federal Telecommunications Act of 1996. With that said, I do believe that it's important for us to deal with this urgency ordinance because once this is approved, there is no way out. And we need to make sure that we make the right decisions now before we get ourselves into more hot water. So my area, I'm going to be talking about 3 sections. And that's going to be about the limited notice guidelines, the T-Mobile's claim of significant gap in service, and the issues about capacity. So first I want to talk about the limited notice guidelines. T-Mobile talks about 18 months of working with the community. Okay, our first notice was in November, 10 days prior to the installation of this tower. Our notice, the first notice we got, was a public notice, construction notice, 510 Cumberland Road. It wasn't even an address that exists, okay? Nothing else, no details, as you can see. Second notice looked just like the original one, and they sent that out because Mr. Polychronis called and complained. So the second notice was the exact same thing, and with that they said, construction again. It had a name of Ed, you can call him. You call him and all you get is a message saying, hi, this is Ed, please leave a message. Then we get a third letter from West Tower Communications, not T-Mobile. Nowhere does it say that T-Mobile is going to be installing a telephone tower. All it states is that they're going to be having construction, they're going to be replacing a light pole, mind you, a light pole on the north side of the street. And that was it. And honestly, they sent it to 9 homes. And in their permit process, they show here, they sent it to 18 homes. 18, mind you, out of that entire community, 18. And not all of us really even saw it. And it was so misleading. And to be honest with you, I am so mad, not because of what they're doing, but because they were so misleading. We would have never even done anything about this if it weren't for the fact that Mr. Polychronis came and knocked on my door and said, this is what this is all about. And that day, that was Wednesday of the City Council meeting, we walked the neighborhood and informed our neighbors of what was happening. And that's how this whole thing started. Had we not done that, I really, really doubt that anything would have been done with this whole process. Nothing. So to say that T-Mobile has worked on this and worked with the community, BS. That's all I can say. So that's it for limited notice. Second thing was the gap in service. We need to make sure that we really, really check what T-Mobile is submitting. We need to be sure that it's accurate and they're not just submitting numbers. Other communities have been through this, and they have questioned everything, and they have shown that not everything that T-Mobile submits is accurate. So we need to make sure that that is correct. And if that requires them having to show some other information besides what they've submitted, we need to do that. Third area has to do with capacity. And this is very confusing. Capacity refers to the number of customers accessing the cell tower at the same time. Now, T-Mobile will tell us that they provided lots of scientific evidence about capacity. And let me tell you, that permit report is like this thick. But the city has the ability under court decisions to decide what type of information Glendale needs. We've attached a capacity checklist which we want you to look at and adopt, because we won't be able to go through everything here. But the difference between this list and what T-Mobile submitted is that these are more comprehensible by the public. We all understand what a drop call is. We all understand that this tower construction should be related to how many customers T-Mobile has. We can have an engineer look at this and see if whether the equipment they're providing is state-of-the-art. But we have to be sure that we cannot rely on T-Mobile's third-party vendor. Because, believe it or not, they're working for T-Mobile, not for us. T-Mobile hasn't provided any of these. So we need to be sure that all of these things are checked and double-checked. Thank you.